Welcome to One Quick Question with Infomedia, your source for answers to your questions about websites, digital marketing, and more. I'm your guest host, Elena Harmon, and I'm hosting today because we're turning the tables and Carrie Rollwagon, who's usually the host, is our guest today. Welcome to the podcast, Carrie.
Thank you.
So today we wanted to actually talk about our podcast. We are making some changes, and we just wanted to talk about those. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, Carrie?
Yeah, and I feel like we should say that you're the producer of the podcast.
Yes,
too,
I'm the producer.
I think I'm excited about the content. I think you are too.
Yeah.
We have always focused a little more, or usually focused a little more on defining tech terms. Like, I can never think of terms when we say this, but you know, like what is a CMS or what is SEO? Even terms that aren't just acronyms, but that's all I can think of right now. We have some new ideas lined up. So, what do we have? I think we are going to talk about some people's hobbies. So, like roller derby, jujitsu. I guess jiu-jitsu is our hobby too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we can say that.
Yeah, we just took an Infomedia only jiu-jitsu class.
Yes.
So, and we're going to talk about like how people got their jobs. What else do we have lined up?
Some time management and organization tips.
Yeah, favorite books, like business books especially. Like less just tech and more just kind of wider business, and then just some things that like our staff does that we think are cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're excited about it. I think that, we've been doing the podcast for a few years now, and we were trying at first to keep it very correlated with tech, like you said. But I think that, there's only so many tech terms that we can define in 10 minutes on a quick podcast episode. A lot of tech terms would require a lot more time than that to explain.
Yeah, and also we've been doing this for like 2 years or something?
I think it's longer than that.
Yeah, so we have like more than 100 episodes. So it's like we kind of ran out of terms. Like, I mean, yes, we could drill down into some super specific things, but kind of the point was if you're like a casual website user or business owner, maybe you have your own WordPress site or Squarespace or something, and you're trying to do this stuff yourself, or you're meeting with a web company, we didn't want the things that are confusing, we wanted to like demystify, Yeah. We're not trying to get people to learn PHP. So like, yes, we could dive more into it, but that's not the point. It was kind of like just quick and relatable.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I feel like some of the things that we're going to be talking about, especially like books and time management and organization and things like that, those are things that everybody can use no matter what industry you're in, whether or not you're working on a website. I mean, I feel like everyone can use some practical tips.
Exactly. And we're still not like, I don't think we're saying we're going to still do some tips.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're just like not limiting it to only that.
Yeah.
But because we got some feedback from our boss that it was boring.
Yes. And we want to make it. I mean, we definitely are excited about, going a little bit of a different direction. And like Carrie said, we won't limit ourselves to not talking about tech anymore, but I do think that this will give us an opportunity to hopefully let some of our listeners get to know our team better and get to know us on a little bit more of a personal level.
Yeah, I think that's good. But I did want to kind of delve in. I do think kind of wanted to be transparent about like, we got some feedback that the podcast was boring.
Yeah.
From our boss who doesn't mince words with that stuff. Like, why do I care? That's what. But he wasn't wrong. I will say, like, I think for other business owners who might be listening, there is also value in a slightly boring podcast. So, but by that I mean, yes, we want to be entertaining and all of that. But I think the things were boring to maybe like Jason, who owns the company, because he knows these things already. So it's like, why would I listen to a 10-minute talk on what a CMS is? I know what it is, But a lot of our clients really don't, So, and that's who the podcast is for. So there is value too in like, because our sales team actually uses sales and our support team uses the podcast a lot because we kind of did podcasts on questions they get asked. So now they have this really big bank of like 10-minute quick episodes. So when people ask them a question, they can answer the question, but they can also be like, if you want a little bit more, here's a one quick question podcast on it. So it is true. Whereas like if our only goal was to produce a podcast that was like super popular, this is not the format,
right?
Like,
yeah, we would have probably never done this to begin
right,
with,
exactly,
on this subject matter.
Yeah, but that wasn't our goal. Our goal
Right.
is to serve our customers and give our teams a different way to interact with some of these terms, and that has happened. Also, it's really good like when we get transcriptions up on the podcast, and even when we don't actually get to transcribe all of it, but we have show notes, that also helps our SEO quite a bit because we're getting all these keywords that we want Google to associate with our business. Like we're getting those on our website too. And we're showing people like just the fact that you can click on the podcast and see all of these episodes on all of these topics that we have enough knowledge on to actually talk about like informatively, knowledgeably. That also, even if somebody doesn't listen to a single episode, just seeing that shows them that we actually know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're both excited, I think, about also incorporating some different content. But I do want to encourage like other businesses too, like your blogs, your podcasts, like, yes, try to make them entertaining, but it doesn't have to be primarily be entertaining to be valuable to your audience.
Totally agree. I mean, and I like Carrie said at the beginning, I am our producer, so I write the show notes and I do all of the social media for the podcast and stuff like that. And it does, it gets repetitive, but I think that if we can start to just not limit ourselves to only tech and take this a different direction and still stay with our same subject, like we can, appeal to more people and, like I said, allow people to get to know us as well and connect more personally. So I'm excited. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, me too. And I think this will allow us to be like, we can incorporate terms when we know people actually want to know.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were doing at the beginning. Like at the beginning it was all terms that we get asked all the time, or like how do passwords work, or how does AI work, or how do what's an algorithm, stuff like that. And I think it's really awesome that we have episodes on that. But yeah, we were having to drill down into like stuff nobody really cares about. I think we joke about, there's an episode about a hamburger menu that like even the guest, Brad, is basically like, why am I here? So like I feel like our rock bottom is the hamburger menu. Although there are also still probably people listening who are like, what's a hamburger menu?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, for us, it's so boring because it's like, we know what is the 3 lines in that are like a menu that bring the drop down menu. If you're listening, you're just dying to know.
You can go listen to the episode. Yeah. It's a pretty great one.
You can find out more about it and hear me being roasted by Brad.
Like always.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. So yeah, that episode was bad enough that afterward I was like, you obviously don't want to do this. Why don't you interview me? He was like, oh, okay. Which actually, those episodes that came out of that were actually way more interesting and are more like what we're doing now. Because he interviewed me, I think, about like reporting, and he was like, I didn't know any of that. Like, so, which is just something that I learned in like journalism school, So I don't know. I think it'll be fun, but also like we help clients figure out their marketing. So we wanted to be, it was your idea to do this like podcast on why are we changing the format. So I think that was good. Like,
thanks.
Just be open. Like,
yeah,
we're boring how we know it.
Yeah, embrace it.
Yeah. And we're sort of kind of trying to be better, but not that much.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Well, awesome. I'm excited. And
if you didn't think it was boring, you should email Jason at infomedia.com.
Yeah, let him know.
Yeah.
Jason, if you're listening, I hope you didn't find this episode boring.
You know he's not listening.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to make sure he listens to this one.
Yeah, that's true. He likes the summary.
Yeah, he does.
That's
he
why.
probably reads the show notes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We love Jason.
We do. Yes. Yeah. I'm excited. And also, if you didn't know, our podcast is on YouTube too. So we are doing video episodes now. And we do link those on our social media, but I know that not everyone is on Instagram. So if you want to see the video, you can visit our YouTube channel. It's infomedia.com, spelled out DOTCOM.
Which is really hard to type.
It is. But we can link I can link the YouTube video in the show notes, so you can just go to our website and find those.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, One Quick Question is brought to you by Infomedia.
Carrie is the host and creator.
Elena is the producer. Our theme music is by Brad Davis, and our sound engineering is done right here in the Infomedia studios.
Find show notes for anything we talked about today, or find out what Infomedia can do for your website at infomedia.com/quickquestion.
And we'll leave you with this thought. A real expert helps to clarify, not confuse. So don't take website advice from someone who can't give you a straight answer.